Hey everyone, welcome back to Code of the Row. In this video, we're going to be merging the interface Sci-Fi Soldier HUD from Synty Studios into our blank Unreal Engine 5 project. And this is just an amazing looking UI set, which has icons of multiple modular packs they've created. Yeah, this is the kind of stuff you can achieve with this. It looks absolutely amazing, really high quality UI stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Feel free to check the Patreon in the description below, and you can use the Synty referral code in the pinned comments below. So the first thing I'm gonna do is just head over to my Epic Games launcher and create a new project. So I'm gonna launch it in 5.4.3 because that is the latest in the time of recording. And I'm just gonna start with a blank third person character, and I'll just call this Sci-Fi HUD as a blueprint, and I'll hit create. So now that my project's open, I need to merge over the Sci-Fi interface soldier HUD pack, the Sci-Fi Space Pack, and the Sci-Fi City Pack. Additionally, you can merge the Sci-Fi Worlds Pack. I don't have this one yet, but I do plan on getting this pretty soon. It is 50% off if you want to use my code in the comment below. And the Sci-Fi Cyber City Pack, which is also 50% off. So for each of my projects, I'm just going to open them up in the file they come in when I download it from Synty. And then I'm going to right click on the content, click on migrate, and I'll just migrate everything over to my new project. And I'll just right click on content, hit migrate, click OK. And now I'll just paste in the content folder of my main project over here, and I'll hit select folder to migrate everything. Now that I've migrated these two packs, I just need to drag and drop. So I'll go to my content folder, I'll drag and drop my Sci-Fi HUD. Because it is just PNGs, we don't need to migrate it from another project. So you'll see that when I just click on anything here and click here, you'll see that they're already in. So this looks nice to me. So I'll just do Control Shift S to save all. And there are a few things that I want to do. So I'm going to create another folder. And because we're going to be really orienting over the UI at first, I'm going to create a new folder and call this HUD, or yeah, I'll just leave the name as HUD for now. Double click into this. And there are a couple things I want to do that are pretty simple to do. I'm going to change the splash screen of my project and the cursor. So let's start off with those. Those are pretty easy to do. And then we're also going to add an HP bar that works with our HUD as well. So I'm going to right click, go to user interface, widget blueprint, select user widget, and create WBP underscore cursor. I'll double click to open this up, and I'm just going to drag in that cursor icon that we have from our Sci-Fi HUD. So under cursors, just drag this in, and it'll automatically just totally look fine. It looks a bit kind of stretched out. That's because we have fill screen selected. I'm just going to click on this and click desired. And now you'll see that the cursor looks just fine. So I'll hit compile and save. And I'll go back to my third person map, and I'll actually go to my project settings. And now under my engine tab, I'm going to look for a user interface. And then under software cursor, I'm going to click this plus sign to add a default cursor. You'll see there's a bunch of different options like crosshairs, hand, grab hand, so on. So we need a default one, and we're just going to select that WBP cursor we created. And just like that, it's pretty much set. And to test that, I'll just go back to my third person map, open up my game mode, click on BP third person character, and on begin play, or at the very beginning here, at the end of begin play after my mapping context, I'm just going to do set mouse cursor or set show mouse cursor. You may not see it until you turn off the context sensitive, and you'll see for the set show mouse cursor, you're going to get an error. You can just plug this into the initial cast over here that's showing right after begin play. I'll hit compile save, go to my third person map, and I'll hit play, and you'll see my cursor is actually showing, and this looks pretty nice. So that's set, and now let's test the splash screen, and we'll also change our character before getting to the HP stuff. So I can just take this away because I don't really want to show my cursor at all times. This is going to be more like an FPS. And now I'm just going to go to my project settings again, type in splash, and I want to change all of these to the Synty screens. So what we're going to do here is look for that Sci-Fi HUD, and let me actually see what it is in the folder itself. So this looks really cool to me. This looks really cool to me. This looks really cool to me. I think I'm just going to go with the Sci-Fi Soldier HUD, and I'll just select this one to be the splash. So let's see if I can just drag and drop from here. So I have my folder open. I'm just going to drag it right on top, or I'll just copy paste the source, select that image here as well. And I just need to edit it for Windows. I don't really care about Linux or Mac. No offense. You can change it to whatever platform you're using, and I'll click import. And now let's actually see if the changes are made. So now you'll see when I launch my game that I have the Sci-Fi Soldier HUD splash showing, and that's exactly what I'm looking for. And that looks good to me. So now I'm going to go over to my Polygon Sci-Fi Space and Sci-Fi just to check out the meshes to see if these characters are rigged to Unreal Engine. So I'm just going to head over to Synty TC Mapes link to download this UE5 Synty rig.rar, and I'll download it as an Unreal project and migrate that over to my current one. So I'll right click on my content, hit migrate everything. Actually, I only need to migrate my Synty folder, so this one. So I'm going to right click on the Synty folder, click migrate, just migrate that folder over to my content folder. And so what I'm going to do is actually just go to my characters for my polygon packs for both of them, the Sci-Fi and Sci-Fi Space. Go to the meshes, characters, and I'm going to just assign every single mesh to that Unreal skeleton. So go to skeleton, assign skeleton, and look for this SK Synty polygon Unreal. So I do have to do this one at a time. It's not doing it in bulk. If you know a way of how I can do this in bulk instead of doing it one at a time, feel free to leave it in the comments below. That would be really helpful. And now everything is retargeted. So let's go ahead and try this out. And now over my BP third person character, I'm just going to select mesh and change my anim class to that ABP Synty that we imported over. ABP Synty, just like that. And then I'm just going to look for a random mesh. I'll just type in robot. And that looks good to me. Now in my viewport, you'll see my robot is right here. And you'll see that if I hit play, I'm just T-posing and so on. It's because it's not retargeting from anything. So in order to fix that, I just need to select ABP Mani. And I'm just going to default this to the ABP Mini anim class, and the skeletal mesh will be the mannequin. And under my mesh, I'm just going to click this add button, add a skeletal mesh, just like that. And it's already to the robot, so that's what I want. And then I'll look for that ABP Synty to retarget. So it's basically just going to be copying what the parent mesh does. So I'm just going to click uncheck this visible tick, and then for visibility based anim tick, I'm going to change it to always tick and refresh bones. Hit compile and save. And now when I go back, my character should move around like a regular NMBP. Yep, this looks really good. He is kind of derpy though, but maybe the robot skeleton is just like that. Let me try another character. So I'll try this soldier male, hit play, and it is a little odd. So changing the mesh in my third person character to ABP Manny, or using this SKM Quinn asset actually fixed some of my issues of that weird leaning back while jumping. So now you'll see when I compile save and use the actual Manny, it looks just fine. So let's add our HP bar. I'm just going to open my BP third person character, and I want to create two variables. So one will be current health, but I need to set this to a float. And so this is current health, and another one called max health. And now when I compile and save, I'll be able to set the default values over here. So I'll do 100 for current health and 100 for max health. And now in my third person map, I'll go into that HUD folder we created earlier and create two user widget. And I'll create this one, which is just going to be called player, or actually Sci-Fi HUD, and another user widget bar, or use another widget blueprint called stat bar. So I'll do stat bar underscore WBP for user widget blueprint, Double click to open this up. And in my overlay, I want to add a progress bar and a text, just a regular text block. So I'll call my progress bar, make sure its variable is checked, and call this health or HP bar. And for the text, I want to call this HP text and make sure its variable is checked as well. And from a progress bar, I'm just going to right click HP bar and wrap it with a size box. And for the size box, I'm going to click width and height override and select something like 400, and the height will be 35. And I'll probably change this according to the Synty Sci-Fi UI. And for the text blocks, I'm going to give it a padding. I'm going to add a padding on the left of 5 just to give it some space, just a tiny bit of space. And for the HP bar itself, under the style, I'm going to change I'll change the tint under background image to something more red like this. And I'm going to set that percent to 0.5 just to see how it looks when it's halfway filled up. So actually, I'm going to make the tint a little darker And for the fill color and opacity, I'm going to change it to something more of a bright red because our HP bar will look more full, and I'll hit OK. And after that's when compile, save. And for the next HUD that we created for Sci-Fi HUD, just double click. I'm going to add a canvas panel, and I'll bring in that stat bar over here, and I'll just click size to content so it matches exactly what we created here. And let me anchor this on the bottom middle. Set my alignment to 0.5, or set my position X to 0 and the Y to 0. And then for the X, I want to do 0.5 just so it's perfectly in the middle. And then for the Y, I want to do something like 3 just to bring it up a bit. This is just going to show it off. I just want to make sure this works before we start modifying our Sci-Fi HUD UI stuff onto this and making it look pretty. And now back in my BP third person character. So I want to start reflecting the actual damage taken onto our HP bar. So I'm going to create a function by clicking this plus sign over here, and it's going to be called get health, and we're going to have two outputs here. So one will be percent health, and the other one will be called text, and the percent health will be an output of a float, and the text will be an output of of text. So I'm going to grab those two variables of current health and max health, and I'm going to basically just divide these two. So put the slash to get that divide symbol, connect these two, and that's going to connect to our percent health. And for the text, I'm going to drag this out and look for a format text. And now I'll just copy paste this over here or down here. And then I'm just going to connect one and add 2 pins. And then I'll alt and left click this to undo this because I do want to format this. So what I'm going to do is just connect my current health to 0 and then my max health to 1, like so. And you can see that the variables tied into this are 0 and 1. So the way I'm going to format this text is going to be HP colon and then curly bracket 0 slash curly bracket 1. And this is basically just going to display our current health slash max health. So I compile it, save, and I'll go back to the event graph. And I'm going to drag this get health function. You're going to notice that it's going to be a blueprint node that we created, but we are going to click on this pure function so that it's just a get. So I'll add an event any damage. So our any damage to subtract our total health. So I'm going to drag in a current health and get a get, and a max health will also be get. So our current health will actually subtract by the damage, and we also want to set the max health to clamp to a clamp float, and the max health will actually plug into the max, and the current health, the new current health, will actually be set to our value. And we'll leave the minimum as 0 because we don't want our character to go below 0 health. And then we're going to set current health. And this new return value of our damage minus our current health will be our current health. So we'll just drag this into the event any damage here. I'll drag this down here just to make sure it's not overlapping everything. So I'm going to create an event dispatcher down here. And this is pretty much our key to talk to the UI itself. So we'll create one called update health. And I'll drag this out here and we're going to call it, and this will connect here. So for this, I'm going to compile it to show it in the details. And now I'll click on update health here to show it onto our details panel. And I need to call 2 input parameters, which is going to be our percent health and text that we have here. So I'll add health percentage, which will be a float, and then another one called health text, which will be a type text. So for this get health, our percent health will go into the health percentage and the text will go into health text, and I'll hit compile and save. And now back in our stat bar that we created, I'm going to go into the graph and I'm going to delete the pre-construct and event tick. So in the event construct, I need to cast to my third person character. And it's okay because the construct is only going to be called once whenever the event happens. It's not going to update every frame, kind of like a tick. So I'm going to drag out the object and get that owning player pawn. And then we'll drag out the execution pin and bind it to the update health. So bind event to update health that we created because this is our dispatcher. So now I need to set the as BP third person character to our target, and the event is going to call a custom event called update health. So I want to bring out my HP bar, get HP bar, and get HP text. So for the bar, we need to set percent, which will connect from our update health new event or custom event into set percent. And the health percentage will connect into the in percent for our percentage of the HP bar. And then the text, we need to set the text. So set text and then text again. The execution pins will connect, and we're going to connect this health text into text. And this looks good. So what we need to do is back in our BP third person character, all the way in the top where it says begin play, we need to initialize our statistics. So I'll pull this out. And then right after BP begin play, I'm going to add a sequence. So I want to cast so for the then one, I'm going to cast to the player controller, and the object will be our player or get controller, like so. And then I want to create widget, and the class of this will be that HUD that we created. So the Sci-Fi HUD right here. And then I need to add this to viewport and make sure the return value is connected to add to viewport just so it knows what to connect. And then I want to call that update health just once that we created. So this dispatcher is because it needs to update on the first frame or else it'll just say text block. It'll just say text block. So I'm going to bring out the get health function and then I'll connect these percent in text right here and I'll hit compile save. And now when I hit play, you're going to see that I have a text. It says HP colon 100/100, but we want to pretty this up and make it look more Synty. But let me first check if I can actually apply damage to myself. So on my BP third person character, right under this, I'm just going to add a debug key F, which is going to apply damage, and the damage actor will be myself. So I'm just going to select damage type just to be, I'll just set the base damage to this, and damage actor should be self. Okay, perfect. So let's see if our HP goes down from this. So every time I hit F on my keyboard, I'll do a print string just so it's more visible to you guys. And this looks good to me. So now when I hit play and hit F, you can see on the top left it says damage and my HP is going down. So that's exactly what we want. And it's only updating, this whole UI stuff is only updating when we actually get damage or when the thing changes, just because we don't want any tick functions because that's very unoptimized and bad way to teach Unreal. And you'll see that when I get 0 and try to go below it, I can't go below 0 because we added that clamp float down here, right here. So the minimum is 0 and we don't have anything for a death function. So that's totally fine for now. So now let's clean up this stat bar and make it look Synty-like. And just a side note, it is going to be a little hard to see what they actually look like in these pictures because there's like a lot of, until you double click it, but you don't really want to just double click into everything. It will be a little difficult to see everything like this. So what I do recommend you doing is just opening it up in your Sci-Fi HUD folder and just actually seeing the UI stuff that you're doing. Because now that it's time to assemble this, it is a lot easier for me to see the whole layout of everything kind of like this instead of struggling to see stuff one by one. All right, so after going through a lot of the UI stuff in the folders, I'm going to go with, I need this plus icon or this cross icon to show my health. This will be the background because I don't want it to be see-through. And then this will be on top of those two images as a little bar. And then next to it, I need the actual bar, which will have my red HP bar in it. And I think I'm going to get rid of the text. It might look a little clunky. I might just keep it there just for functionality, make it a bit more of a modern text. So let's go ahead and do that. So in my stat bar, actually, I might just do this in my Sci-Fi HUD so that we can go over multiple kinds of HP bars. So I'll just try it out on my main Sci-Fi HUD. So I need to just add quite a few images. So I'm going to add 1, 2, and 3. So I'll just label this as cross. I don't need to have it as a variable, but under brush, I need to set that image to whatever this is called. So the icon Sci-Fi status health 02. So let me see if I can just look for health 02, and that looks good too. Well, I selected it, so hopefully that looks good. Let me size to content, and this is pretty big, but I'm just gonna leave it down here for now. And then this one will be the frame. Oh, I actually need another image. I need a fourth one. So this one will be the frame, which is this one. So Techie Sci-Fi Box Techie 02. So I'm going to go ahead and look for, I'm going to size the content again for visibility. And then under the image, I'm going to select Techie 02, just like that. Holy crap. Yeah, these are not sized the way I thought it would be. But okay. And I'm also going to set, this one will be called background shadow. I'm just naming these just so I know what they are. And then I'll do size the content again. Set image to that background box underscore background, just like that. That looks good. And then the final one will just be that actual bar itself. So it's going to be bar underscore techie 01, just like that. And I'll also do size to content just so we get some visibility on how it looks. So as you can see that if you use programs like Photoshop and so on, you're going to see that the layers are a bit backwards. So basically whatever's at the bottom, let me just call this bar. So, all right, I'm actually going to switch it up a bit. I'm actually going to just change this to a techie dark looking frame. They have some, it looks a little modern to me. So something like, okay, it loaded. I got scared for a second. So this will be 100 by 100. And then for the bar, I'm going to change this to a techie dark bar, which looks like this. It's a little clunky for my liking, but I just to show off that HUD part, the HUD aspect, I'm gonna just go ahead and do that. So the frame's updated, the bar's updated, cross is fine, and so on. So for this, I'm just gonna do something like let's see, 310 over 110. So I'm just gonna put this right behind this, and I need to make this background shadow a bit smaller. So I'll do something like 80 by 80 and try to center it. Oh, and try to center that background shadow as much as I can. No. So let's change this to 80 by 80. Cross is not centered. So I need to select this, and this is actually sizing it. So this looks good. Actually, no, it's a little okay. And now for the stat bar, or actually for this bar, let me add another image because I know there was something else I could add to this. Oh, nice. This actually looks cool. So there's a little just frame border thing, I guess, that can go on the side here, just like that. Just to give it some more, I guess, character or uniqueness. And I do kind of like how good it looks no matter how stretched out it is. So that's pretty sick. And I'll just leave that there just because it looks nice. So now I'm going to uncheck the size to content, and then I can pretty much just kind of size this however I want. So for example, for the size Y, I'll do something like, so it won't go bigger than what I have in my stat bar widget. So I'll just go back and kind of make this a bit chunkier than what I set it to. So for the size box, I'll do something like 1000 by, I guess, or maybe something like 300, or no, let's do 500 as the max. Just so when we go back here, we can set it kind of big. And I want to make sure that it's reflecting perfectly fine in here, just like that. And this looks pretty good. And I'm also going to just center the text, or actually, maybe I'll just have the text invisible for now because it does look kind of cluttered with the text in there, in my opinion. So I'll just set that visibility to hidden only for the text. So I'll hit compile and save. And now when I go over to my third person character and hit play, you're going to see that I have this Synty Sci-Fi looking HP bar on the bottom left. And when I hit F to take damage, you'll see that I am taking damage, just like the regular progress bar that we created. And so far, this is a pretty good start. I'm actually liking how this is going. And I'm going to create more HP bars just to play around with it in the next video. But for future reference, when you do create your Sci-Fi HUD stuff, I do recommend putting these in containers to make them more organized. And we'll go over that in future videos. Thanks for watching Code of the Row. Like, subscribe, comment below what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.